conflict stabilization is one of the most important things that we can do in the world today, and it's something we're still learning how to do. It's tough. There's nothing easy, whether it's in Iraq or Afghanistan, Ukraine, Libya, I mean, you name it. There isn't a place where today's world doesn't require us to try to make a difference. And that's the reason this Bureau was stood up. It's tricky stuff, and I think it's fair to say from the comments you heard previously that Rick has turned it around and stood it up at the same time with courage and with tenacity and with audacity. So as a person, as a public servant, as a leader, importantly, he has, after 5 years in the administration and 3 years as the Assistant Secretary, built up a bureau. And I think everybody here can say with great pride and gratitude to you, Rick, enormously, a job well done. We wish you well. We're proud of you. And in keeping with that pride and an appropriate celebration of your accomplishments, it's my privilege to present you with the Foreign Affairs Award for Public Service.
CSO, I know there are a few of you there. You are a lively, learning, and innovation-seeking bunch. You bring the word peace builder to life, and you're making a difference in the toughest challenges on earth. Thanks to each of you, and thanks to the founding leaders, Jerry White, Dolores Brown, Karen Von Hippel, and our very talented next generation directors that I see here as well. Thank you all. My 3 wishes are designed to make the most of America's special place and gifts with a compelling modesty. My first wish is that we immerse ourselves in the local people, the local politics, and their ways of life. The rigor of our understanding and our acceptance of how much we will never know will always encourage native ownership, the first step to advancing peaceful democratic change. My second wish is that we feature American ingenuity as our core catalytic trait. We are at our best when we bring fresh ideas and an inclusive way. And my third wish is that we insist upon an affirmative way forward. When we build trust, support each other, even in these institutions, and create positive plans, progress follows. If these 3 wishes are granted or fulfilled, I have no doubt that America's advantageous position in the world will produce greater peace. So let me close with a family tale. When I walk out of the Harry Truman Building later this week, I will leave by the 21st Street exit, the oldest part of the State Department. Sure, I love the mural, the defense of human freedoms, and the pink-hued stone, and the almost intimate space of that entrance. But it was also the way that my father would leave those nights that my mother was picking him up. And in those days, you could drive up to the door, but you couldn't park your car. But guess what my mother would do? She would drive her little Volkswagen right up to the door, and you'd have to call it parking. Now, Mom featured American ingenuity as her first line of offense and her first line of defense. So when the guard would walk over and suggest that it was time to move on, my mother would say, "I'm just waiting for the ambassador." The guard would step back, and when my And when my dad would come through, and a minute or so later, he would always be greeted, "Have a nice evening, Mr. Ambassador." Now, for those of you who know my father, no one looked more like an ambassador, but he wasn't one. So when Dad arrived at the car, both Mom and Dad had a loving smile on their face. And so will I when I walk out of here on Friday. I will have a big smile on my face.
Come up here.